Hello everyone, and welcome to this edition of the Clips of the Week, brought to you by the Portland Football Officials Association. As always, my name is Tony Fox. Hard to believe that we're a third of the way through the regular season. We have several clips to look at for this week. Good luck in advance of your games, and let's get right to the action. Our first clip is a rare example of something that we read about all the time in our rule books, but seldom see. We read about it in our case books. We try to prepare for it, but we hardly ever see it on the field, and that's the momentum rule. And so we're going to take a look here at a deep pass down the sideline for the offense, and the ball is intercepted right around the 5. The player's momentum takes them into the end zone where they slip and fall, and you can see that the offense is expecting this to be a safety. However, if we rewind this and look at where the defender actually possesses the ball, we're going to see that that's right around the 5-yard line. Now, by rule, the momentum rule says that if a member of the defense or the return team possesses the ball inside the 5-yard line and their momentum takes them into the end zone and the ball becomes dead there, we're going to return to the spot where possession was gained. Now, we don't want to split hairs here, and in full speed, we can see this is right about the 5-yard line. Now, it's important that we beanbag that spot. We don't see it on the film here, but both the back judge and the head linesman bag this spot. This was correctly ruled a momentum play and brought back to the 4-yard line. So it's important for us as the officials to recognize this momentum situation, bag the spot. To summarize, for the exception to apply, the original momentum must be the cause of the ball entering the end zone. If the covering official, the back judge in this case, judges that the player voluntarily carried the ball across the goal line, then regular rules will apply and the play may result in a safety. And also, what happens after the ball enters the end zone is almost always inconsequential, assuming the ball never leaves the end zone and that the defensive team or the return team has possession at the end of the down. So great job by this crew recognizing momentum play, bagging it, and getting the next spot right. So if you've watched the last few episodes, you've heard us talk about the importance of correct penalty enforcement, crew communication, understanding all of the options, and then letting the coach know about all of the options they have. So we have a free kick here, and as we can tell, it's from the 20-yard line, and this is after a safety. Let's watch what happens here on this kick. So we're going to see the ball goes out of bounds right around the kicking team's 40-yard line, and we have a flag there by the line judge indicating where the ball went out of bounds. Now, on a normal kickoff from the 40-yard line, we know it's important to have a flag at the spot where the ball goes out of bounds if it's in advance of the 30-yard line because of our enforcement options. So here we have a flag down at the 40. So what are all the different options that the return team has? So the return team has 4 options on this play. The first of which is they can obviously decline it, but we don't want them to do that. We don't really want them to choose that option. The next option would be to have the 5-yard penalty administered from where the ball went out of bounds, resulting in 1st and 10 from the return team's 45-yard line. The third option is to have the 5-yard penalty assessed from the previous spot, which would result in the kicking team re-kicking from the 15-yard line. The fourth and final option is that the return team may take the award and put the ball in play 25 yards in advance of K's free kick line, the kicking team's free kick line, which was the 20. This would result in 1st and 10 from the K or the kicking team's 45-yard line. Now, it's important as a crew to go through all of these options. We don't want to get into the situation where we just go through the motions and assume that, well, normally we kick off from the 40. If they kick it off out of bounds, we just put it in at the 35. We have to remember the reason why we put it at the 35 is that is 25 yards in advance of where the kickoff came from. So we want to make sure we go through this. There's no need to rush this. Talk through it as a crew. And what we're going to see is on the next play, what option was chosen. So as you can see here, they chose the 5-yard option from where the ball went out of bounds. This begs the question of whether or not the option of the 25-yard penalty from where the kickoff was offered to the coach. And our assumption is that was not the case, because that would result in another 10 yards for them, 1st and 10 from the kicking team's 45. So again, know all of the options, be patient, talk as a crew, and make sure the coach is aware of all of the options they have. Let's look at another scrimmage kick where we're going to miss quite a bit of activity. And again, some of this is going to be hard to see from the sideline view, but we're going to get an excellent view of 3 missed calls from the end zone. So right out of frame, we're going to see a player on the ground, and we'll see what happened here from the end zone view. But this does appear to be an illegal block in the back. But again, let's reserve judgment until we see it from the end zone view. Now we're going to get another block in the back, or a blindside block, around the 43-yard line. And then we have what looks to be a targeting foul against a member of the return team. And again, none of these were called. But now let's look at it from the end zone point of view. So first action, we have a block in the back, not called. Then we have a blindside block, again, not called. And let's look at the highlighted player here. And again, officials, we see a player kind of swimming upstream. That should always put us on alert. And we have a target and a launch. So let's watch this from the beginning from the sideline view, and let's go through our mechanics. So the referee and the center judge are back. The center judge should move downfield after the kick is away. The short side wing does release, and they should be looking at some of those oncoming blocks. The back judge should now be transitioning the returner to the wings and looking in advance of the returner. The action that's highlighted right now could be seen by either wing, the back judge, and particularly the center judge. Same with this play here, where we're going to have targeting. It's easy to miss one of these 3, but we can't miss all 3 of these. These are all potential safety fouls, and we need to get these on all plays. On this play, we want to commend the crew for some excellent communication. We're going to get a long pass down the sideline. Appears maybe an interception near the sideline. Now the back judge and the head linesman come together to view this, discuss it, and rule this to be an interception. Just an excellent job here of being patient and making sure that you each have the same call. With that said, we want to make sure that we understand that one of 2 things is going to happen on this play. We're either going to have an interception or an incomplete pass. So we need to kill the clock here. And 7 seconds go by before the 2 officials make a signal. Now, we're not sure exactly what stage of the game this is, but if this were, say, late in the second quarter or late in the fourth quarter and it's a close game, those are 7 seconds that the intercepting team might want back. So good situational awareness would tell us here that we're going to kill the clock no matter what. Again, either intercepted or incomplete. So kill the clock, then come together. Nonetheless, excellent communication between these 2 officials. With our last 3 clips, we want to look at something that's very important, and that's sideline management. Officials and coaches need to work together to keep the restricted area clear of all non-players when the ball is live and also when the ball is about to be snapped. Now on this play here, we can see a coach is clearly into the restricted area and they're ahead of the official in the direction of play. Now, regardless of which direction we're going, no non-player can be in the restricted area while the ball is live. And let's watch what happens on this play. So as this play develops, the official and the coach nearly come into contact with one another. Now, had that happened, we would have had a personal foul, a 15-yard penalty, and if that were to happen twice in the same game, that would result in the disqualification of the head coach. So coaches, please work with your staff and your team to keep that restricted area clear of all non-players while the ball is live. Now, of course, once the play is over, you can come into the restricted area, send in substitutes, call plays, coach your teams up. But as soon as that ball is about to come live, get yourself out of the restricted area. Now let's look at the very next play. We have 4 non-players from the home team and 2 from the visiting team in the restricted area. So officials, do yourself a favor and clear that area. And coaches, please work with your officials to keep that restricted area clean. The last thing we want to do is have contact with a coach in the restricted area. And if that happens twice in the same game, that is going to result in a disqualification. So please stay out of the restricted area. If you need to have a get back coach, we'd highly recommend that. We talk about that a lot in the pre-games. Let's look at another clip in which we actually have contact. Now, we're not going to see this on the film, but on this punt play, we have a coach who's in the restricted area while the ball is live, and they're going to make contact with the line judge. The officials' area of focus is on the field, not down the sideline. They should be able to work up and down that restricted area free from any concern. And so we have an official here who unfortunately makes contact with the coach, and that does result in a personal foul. Unlike personal fouls that occur on the field with players, they could have 3 and they're still going to stay in the game. But with a personal foul with a non-player contact in the restricted zone, all that has to happen is twice, and that would result in the disqualification, which none of us want to happen. So please, again, let's work on keeping the restricted area clear, and that's going to keep officials, players, and coaches safe from harm. Well, that's it for this week's Clips of the Week. We appreciate everyone who's been sending in clips. We have several episodes coming your way in the near future. As always, if you have a clip that you'd like to share, please send it to us at the email address on the screen. All clips have been vetted by Oregon SRI Kevin Hatfield. If you have any questions on any of the rulings, please direct those to Kevin at his email address. Thank you and good luck with your games this week.